David King, time for your first crack.
Well, my first crack is all about the, and I stole a little line from you here, Premiership Garnish. So to win a flag, it's full club. You need to get every decision right. You see what the Suns have had to go through to get themselves into a final series. Everyone's played their part on and off field. Premiership Garnish is that last couple of guys you go after to make a difference. The last trade you make or the big trade acquisition you make. And there's some of the names. There's 14 players that are still up and rolling in this final series that can make a meaningful change. You know, the Crows have got the Peatling, Cumming, Neil Bourne, 3 of them there. So they've gone from 15th to 1st. No surprise they've improved so dramatically. Collingwood, Houston. Is Houston going to pay them back in a final series? So if he does, all's forgiven through the home and away. Tom Boyd style, right? They just move straight past the trauma of home and away and get straight to the end point. Shea Bolton, this is why they got Shea to the team. Like, I know he's had some brilliant moments. They've gone from 14th to 9th to 6th. This is it. This is your time now to take control of these big games. Bailey Smith, I think, has probably been the best performed of that group. You know, he's a high price again and all those sorts of things. Rioli and Noble we touched on. Stringer, well, this is the time. This is the moments they've been waiting for this guy. He's a bit of a different story. Never recruited to kick 50 during the home and away. But when they need him halfway through a game, late third quarter, you know, arm wrestle going on, hey, Jake, we just need you. Yep. And he'll pay the bills if he can do that. And Barras and Battles changed their whole defensive 50 profile. Against the top 8 teams last year, the D50 was rated 14th. This year, it's top 5. So they've been able to do it quickly through those guys. And pretty much all of those teams have improved their ladder position by their acquisitions. So I just think the Premiership Garnish, and we'll sit back in 4 weeks' time and say which ones really worked. Which ones really had... Who was the Joe Danaher of this group? Who was the Josh Dunkley of this group? Who was the Frampton or the Bobby Hill who won a Norm Smith? Who is that of this group? Because one of them is going to do it. Maybe 2 or 3 of them might do it. But one of them will be standing there with the Premiership Cup and say, gee, that was a good decision by whoever from whatever club.
Yep, I like it. I like it a lot. I love that fact that...
Who will it be, boys? Have a stab.
I think we're going to sit back and go, the Bailey Smith recruit, the risk they took to go after Bailey Smith, not only... He could end up winning a Brownlow and a Premiership. And you go, seriously, how perfect a year, typical Geelong, like how...
We may never see him again.
Perfect a year could it be for the game? He just drops it and just walks away.
The garnish is gone.
That's where I'm looking. That's where I'm looking.
All right.
The garnish, all right.
Yeah, I love the... You know I love my food. That was easy to come up with.
Who'd you say? Did you give me a name?
I was actually going to go to Bailey, to be fair. But I'm actually looking forward to Dan Houston.
Yeah, good.
Because I like the fact, you know, he's been much maligned. Puts that aside, fresh start. Dimmer said, new season ahead. Let's go. Time for my first crack. 4G. Need 4G to make... 4G. So the Hawks, they go to NG. Then they go GGG, 4 Gs. They get 3 home finals after their first week if they can get through. Have a look. You finish in 8th spot, and guess what happens?
So that's Collingwood obviously losing to Adelaide. Then they play them the second week at the MCG.
And then they get
Geelong beating Brisbane first week of finals.
Correct.
Jeez.
And then they go to the MCG, and then they go to the big dance at their home ground.
So you think falling into 8th spot's worked in their favour?
I cannot believe how much it's worked in their favour. Well, they didn't want to go to Fremantle. They didn't want to go to Perth. They go to Sydney. They play the Giants, who I think they're a massive chance to beat, and then they go home final from 8th spot.
Ralphie gives us the fixture and you give us the results. Unbelievable.
Nostradamus, have a look at it. But on the flip side, if they did finish in 7th spot, like the Gold Coast, if we're talking flight path, my first flight path, that's smooth, we're landed.
Yep.
There's that much turbulence on that one.
Yeah.
Charlie, strap yourself in, there's oxygen mask coming down. That is a hard way to land, if you look at that.
I can't believe Dicko's nailed the ladder predictor. The finals.
And the Hawks made it.
And the Hawks are in the granny.
Well, they're already in there, so, you know. Sometimes you've got to dream big. Joey, what's your first crack?
My first crack is for, let's be honest, a year in which the AFL have had a rough year with lots of things that have probably not been ideal with the fixturing and all these different issues. They can at least sit back at the end of this home and away season and say, well, we do have a truly national competition, because for the first time in over 20 years, all 5 states are represented in the final series, which is great for football when you think about it. So Queensland, New South Wales, Western Australia, South Australia and Victoria have teams that are playing. 2004 was was the last time it happened. So that is great for the AFL and for the competition. And to be honest as well, the expansion clubs. This is what the AFL have wanted. The first time they are both in the final series at the same time. We're excited about what it's going to bring. But I think the AFL can be pretty pleased. That's how it panned out.
Yep. 3 of the 8 in Victoria, so...
Only 3.
See, get around the Hawks, told you. I'll tell you how it's going to finish. Well, Kingy, let's touch on the experience because Gold Coast played their first final series. You want to bring players into your club that have played finals. Daniel Rioli comes into this football club and tonight you want to just talk about his impact and what he can do going forward.
Yeah, and there's no secret to Damien Hardwick saying, OK, we need 2 quality half-back flankers. We're going to get Noble and we're going to get Rioli. Rioli's the classy one. Rioli's the one that was always going to cost him a bit more, but he does things like this. So you can see a final. You can see him doing this or wanting to do this, threatening to do this. Sometimes that's all it needs to be, is the threat. The number 1 rated general defender in the competition this year because he plays with a dare and an arrogance that most sort of keep in the back pocket. I love the way he plays. It's a classic Damien Hardwick game plan when these 2 are up and running.
And I love that Gold Coast took the risk. They paid overs. Remember the trade period? They gave up pick 6 and 23, and everyone said that is ridiculous. That is overs for Daniel Rioli. But what I love is they identified a player they wanted, and they said, it doesn't matter if we're paying overs. If it's going to help our football club, let's go and get him. And now they're reaping the rewards from getting him and Johnny Noble as well in that trade period, and you've seen the impact it's had.
Yep. And it's time for Health is Your Best Player, thanks to HBF Health Insurance. And let's talk about Essendon. Their season is done. I think 15 debutants pretty much sums up what they had left going into this final round. And disappointing year for Bombers fans, but there's not much you can do if you can't field a team.
No, it was, in the end, a nothing year. I mean, they've been able to blood some youngsters. How many of them are going to be in their best team next year if they're all fit and healthy? Probably not many, but they've unearthed a couple and they'll continue to give some opportunities, and a few have really shone brightly. But that's up to their off-season and how well they recover and the health of the group and the fitness program they go through. How hard can they go with the group fitness-wise over pre-season if they all break down? And a lot of them are recidivists. They break down a lot, the same guys. So it's a real balancing act for this football club in the next pre-season, how they can get their best team out there.
Yeah, I look at that, the debutants, right, and we say, OK, those 15 and they've had no luck. Don't worry about this year. Put a full stop on this year. How many of those 15 have answered the call and are going to be part of something meaningful going forward? It's OK to have 20 new debutants, but they've got to be the ones that you say, yep, we found him, we found him, we found him. So my question is, how many of the 15 are going to be there in 18 months' time, having a meaningful impact in 30 more games' time for this football club? That's the skill of it all.
Yep.
And that's the challenge. It's tough to win games, I understand that, but you've still got to get something out of these games. You just can't tick boxes. So I'm looking forward to what happens with the list change at the end of the year. And mid-next year, when we look back and say, OK, they gave all these kids an opportunity, are they a main part of this next 23?
Yeah, you're not going to get a better side of them playing 15 debutants and seeing what they've got under the hood.